Oh, everybody, and welcome to this week's Metaworld News. Now, I don't know who it was out there blowing the whistle to get you lot going, but it seemed to work, didn't it? It's a bit,
Uh,
I guess it's the Olympics thing, isn't it? You're waiting for
y-
the whistle before you
uh,
run.
just a slip of a finger on the soundboard.
Oh, okay. I thought it was deliberate.
Nope,
No, never mind.
nope.
Never mind. When it comes to audio, you never know what's going to happen at the moment.
Oh, so
Anything
true.
can happen in the next microphone session. Right. So, hello everybody. If you don't know already, I'm Mal Burns. First name Mal, second name Burns. As is the case with most. I was going to say many, but I'll actually say most things on the web. I'm prone to being squashed. Actually, I'm not prone to being squashed at all. I don't like it, but I get squashed a lot, is what I mean. So, if you want to find me on Twitter, for example, which is important, believe it or not, you have to go to twitter.com/Malburns, Malburns, all one word. Yes. And that's where you'll find all my links during the week to pertinent news items and stuff. Far more than I can possibly include on this program, but the ones I do include on this program, you will find there too. The exception to that is going to be the first link, but because we have an additional feed of Twitter, which is twitter.com/Metaworld News. Again, squashed into one word, just the same as the name of this show. And that's where you will want to go if you want to find the link to the one I'm going to show you first. Although I'm going to read it out anyway, so hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay, for those of you who don't know, we're broadcasting from Sensorama, which is also pertinent. But before I get to that, I'm going to introduce the chap sitting next to me here. His name is James Outloud. Hello, James.
Well, hello, Mal. A happy Sunday to you.
Yeah. Oh, a miserable Sunday to me, but a happy Sunday to you, is
Oh
what I mean.
no, no, not miserable. I hope.
Well, it's all to do with microphones and routers and
Ah,
failure to communicate the Wi-Fi stuff. Not affecting this show, fortunately, in any great way, anyway.
right, right.
Yeah, so when we've got this over and I've done the housekeeping, I would no doubt have to spend a few thousand hours trying to figure out what's wrong with software and stuff. Oh, I hate this stuff. Technology. Who invented this stuff anyway?
I don't
Can't be
know. I can't say.
telephones and cassette tapes, I think.
Right. So
Yeah,
I,
never
I
mind.
I did I did not find a new shirt for this week. This is the same one from Loki Elliott from last week.
Yeah.
I actually in real life I have family visiting, so I was a little late to the start, but otherwise
Otherwise,
all is good.
distracted. Yes, I remember you mentioned that, so that's
Yep.
why I knew you would be around. So yes, okay. Well, for those of you who don't know, James is also the one I have to credit, of course, with not only coming on air a couple of times, but he fiddles with the knobs behind the scenes, which allows me to share my desktop with you and with the audience here at the same time. And he can adjust the camera for the broadcast that you see me, or you see him, or you see a different version of, well, a different angle of me is probably what I mean. And so on and so forth. Mixing audio and video signals.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, there and everywhere. Everywhere in the, well, we don't know where the metaverse is anymore or what it is anymore. This is
Oh
the problem.
no. Right.
Yeah. But from all sorts of strange places that used to be in the metaverse. Yeah, we'll come to that a little bit later. Anyway, as I say, we broadcast this show from our little studio here in Sansar. And this time last weekend, the Splendor Festival was happening here in Sansar. Very, very well received. I'll have a couple of links later, which go into a few other things. Um, and James and I were actually looking out for pictures after the show last week, trying to figure out if we actually had any camera shots which showed really large numbers of people there. There was one that showed quite a lot of people, but it's like the bands on a stage. You put them on a green screen in front of the stage, and they look like they're on the real stage, especially if you have something going on behind them. And although if you go to the wrong angle, the side of the stage, they begin to look like cardboard cutouts, except they move. And all that kind of trickery is part and parcel of putting on these kind of events. But we, being finicky and fussy and curious, wanted to know. Anyway, I guess James can probably put, if he hasn't already done a show, can put up the first scene right now. Oh yes, he already has, by the look of it. This is it's a snapshot, right, from an article, The Best Sets from Splendor, and you can relive the festival all week. Now, this was posted at the beginning of the week, but I think it's still possible to revisit. You do actually have to pay for the revisit. In other words, it's like a replay of the whole event. Obviously, the bands are no longer live, if they ever were, but, they've recorded the 3D experience as it actually was. At the time, so you can go back into those, venues and see the performances all over again. Maybe with less people around you, or maybe more. I don't know, but you do actually have to pay for it, unfortunately, just like you did the real thing. The nice thing about this article, however, is it's got a nice little rundown here of all the different areas that you may have missed or may want to relive, or even if you don't want to relive, you can see what was going on. So it's got nice pictures of, lots of the different bands and what they were doing. And looking at the reviews, it was quite interesting. Being a very large festival with a lot of big bands too, there was a noticeable difference in the way the bands chose to present themselves. Like some will be coming across like on video, others will pre-record on a green screen video, and all sorts of things. So I think there was a bit of a behind the scenes competition between the bands to be better than each other in terms of the virtual performance, if not the music. So there they were, Bandmate. What a name! What kind of name is that? It would be Japanese, wouldn't it? And they haven't got they haven't got all the stuff up there, but they haven't got that one. I believe it was your daughter very keen on. James.
Yeah, for King Lizard.
King Lizard, that was it. Yeah, they're actually not even listed on the
King Gizzard.
Okay.
Okay.
The highlights here: Claire McKaylee, The Killers, Chivurches, Denzel Curry, Tash Sultana, Charlie XD, Kate Shanana, Ocean Alley, and heaps more. To be honest, The Killers are the only ones I've ever heard of myself. I do actually have a video of The Killers, but I guess they're a mock. I don't think I paid for it anyway, so, but I thought she was quite good. Anyway, if you want to see this little article, it's actually at a site called moshtix.com.au, which is the Australian site. It was an Australian-based festival, of course, and that's a moshtix.com.au. And the direct link to this page is on the Metaworld News Twitter feed. But now we are going to move on. And from now on, if you want to go to Twitter and look up the direct link, you want to go to twitter.com/malburns. And we start, and we'll skip over almost really, but the obligatory start point. When I'm going back and scheduling all our links, I always go to this as my start point because I know this is where... Unless there's a couple either side of it, I know this is always the first tweet of the week, And this is the Scarred Ghost. Cue the music. There in the distance, a bit of howling going on. Yeah. The XR Wheat Peak and the fastball games at the Metaverse, invariably. Quest 2 goes MR, mixed reality, I guess, and more. We will have a bit more on the Fastbook later, and indeed the Quest 2. And it's not been the God Emperor's week really, but we'll get to that later. Okay, he has a general roundup. He's got a few embedded podcasts and things there. Probably nothing important that we would not have covered last week, especially the announcements from the Fastbook. Too many announcements from the festival, as you can tell. But anyway, this is a good way to get a roundup of not this week just gone by, but the a week before. And I should say that I forgot entirely to announce the date today. It was on our screen sort of ticker, but yes, today we are delivering news headlines for the week ending, and it is only a week this time. The week ending the 1st of August. Yes, we've reached the last month of summer already, albeit the beginning of it. Unbelievable. Well, of course we are.
Unbelievable.
Mostly waiting for summer to come. And, you know, I mean, you may be on the West Coast and have infernal heat, but I don't think that's the kind of heat that qualifies as summer.
No.
That qualifies as cooking. Right. And my best wishes to all of you in the cooker land, really. You know, so you don't need barbecues anymore. Just go for a walk in the woods. Right. That's not funny. Sorry. Right.
A little funny.
No, it's a little funny. Thank goodness for that.
Right.
Right, yes, I do come up with the inappropriate ones at times. Right, okay. So I'm going to move on from that, but if you want to read that roundup, as always, you go to scaredghost.com, which is SKARREDGHOST.com. .com is spelled COM. You'd never have guessed that, would you? Right. Bravo. Okay. So let me the 2 items I've already covered now, and I'm on track again now. Okay, the next post. This is a post at EDM.com. EDM is, I think it stands for electronic something music. I'm not quite, there's a lot of different variations on the E something M. I never quite got to grips with it. In fact, I was listening to an interview with a friend of mine this morning, and he mentioned about 3 of them, and I still can't figure out which was which. Yeah, but electronic music anyway. So, as it says here, tapping into the EDM zeitgeist, Sensorium Galaxy, which is another virtual world, of course, is positioned to lead the paradigm shift to the future of live music. Bit of PR, really, in many ways, but you know, important. Sensorium Galaxy is a fairly dominant platform, along with it's not as big as say Roblox and the other one. I still get them confused.
EDM is electronic dance music.
Dance, of course, yes. Okay. Yeah, there's another one variation, but it's not EIM, but the I stands for industrial, and so there's another.
Okay, right.
For that, electronic industrial music. So
right. Yep.
The middle letter has got a lot of variations. Of course, it's dance. It's the original one, in fact. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. So this interview, they were talking to Sensorium Galaxy's deputy CEO, Sasha Yanko. Well, that's an unfortunate name, isn't it? And she says, we're not just creating a platform for online broadcasts. We're creating a... Guess what the word is? Guess what the word is?
Your favorite word.
We are creating a unspeakable experience that consists of various worlds. In our case, we spent a lot of time on the development and production of the shows rather than placing an artist against the screen or shooting them in video format or placing them in CGI space. We're using the most forward-thinking technologies from motion capture to 3D scan to VR and putting it all together. And as that picture shows, not much at all, really. Pretty picture, that's about it. That's the Prism experience, apparently. No advertising in sight. But they've, for example, they had Carl Cox, who's pretty big DJ wise, but legendary, you say there, and I'm inclined to agree. Well, it's a skeezable use of the word legendary in this day and age. So they've had some quite big people in there. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are, these virtual spaces, especially the music ones, they're competing to get big bands, and some big bands are going one place, some are going to another, some are going to several, trying out one, then trying out another. It's all the matter still. The music industry is still getting a feel And there have even been some now lockdowns becoming lifted in a lot of places, and real clubs are opening again. There's also been a lot of halfway jobs, as it were, where they're still doing virtual events, but they're tying them in and mixing the video with live events. So they're merging the two, the online and the offline events to some extent. And I mean, you if you want to go out and dance beneath the stars, you would say to me earlier today, to get the feeling, you need to be in the real world. That real world could almost be your background, and if you're in touch with all your friends in a headset or something similar. Anyway, we just tackle the future as it arises and find out the virtual reality and the virtual world features will all be here, direct to you every Sunday and every day on my Twitter feed. Hint, hint, twitter.com/MalBurns. Right. And anyway, I'm not going to read out the whole article. There's a much nicer picture of their in-world environment. It's still not clear exactly what's going on there. I think it's just a scene. There's actual pictures there of a music performance, but there you go. So you will find this at edm.com, electronicdancemusic.com, but you just need the letters. So that's a real easy to remember. You need to go to my Twitter feed. Moving on. This is an interesting one to remember too, but of course it's not an exact page. This is Github. Yeah, good old Github. GITHUB.com. To find the actual link for this, you probably will need to get to my Twitter feed. Basically, it's a site called Awesome Metaverse, and it's a listing at GitHub of awesome projects, information, resources about the metaverse. Now, I should make a point of telling you that this listing and interest or whatever predates all the new supposed metaverse plurals that are hanging around. It's actually a much better list to go to if you want to know the hardcore ones that have always been there, rather than the new ones that have just got lots of venture capital and a lot of basically ability to make a lot of noise. So the first bit, it's a link here to their Discord channel too, which you can join. I think, hang on, what's the name of the Discord? I forget which. That wasn't clever, was it? That's what I need. Right. Okay. They've got a couple of links for WebXR, the Explainer, Awesome Web VR, ExoKit, and Webaverse. And then the social VR stuff, quite a few things. You've got hubs here. Janus Web, which is quite well known, but it's a building framework, really. Spoke is fairly well known. CJS is very dominant. High Fidelity is still listed as deprecated, but of course High Fidelity is still going with the audio component. And then they've got Vicadio and Tivoli Crowd, which are based on the open source fork of High Fidelity. Decentraland, that was another one I was trying to think of earlier, which is a blockchain-based world. I tried to see Decentraland. There was no map. I just, I walked off into distance, hoping to get to some of the buildings. Sort of half an hour later, my avatar was still heading to the horizon. But I suppose if you know how to get to the place you want to be, I couldn't see any teleporting facilities. I really don't know about that, but there is quite a lot going on there apparently. Webaverse, the universal 3D apps that work everywhere, and the XRC engine. I do remember the Avatar creator, Ready Player Me, have their own portal too, which we showed you last week. That's getting quite a lot of. It's funny, I brought it up last week, and nobody's credited, but it just seems to me that every day this week, somebody else has been tweeting that. But well, at least I'm happy. I know I was first off the block with it. Right, and then the free ones like Something in Space, we mentioned a minute ago, CryptoVoxels, Neos VR. I keep thinking that's free, but maybe it's not. VR chat, the same. Some of these ones you can get into without paying, I'm sure. VR chat, I'm certainly sure you don't have to pay to get in. Roblox again, one of the big ones. So covering those. There's Ready Player Me. VR Roid Hub, I have not come across that, but apparently photorealistic humanoid avatars there. And crypto avatars, which means, I don't know, you probably have to pay blockchain cash, don't you, to some ridiculous amount to get an avatar paid for that's unique to you. And well, anyway, as you can see, long list of stuff, including articles, blogs, and everything. Quite up to date here. It's got the essays by Matthew Ball that we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and decent writer Doug Thompson. The Metaverse is Everything is a revived blog of his. I think he could have done without mentioning the Mark Zuckerberg Metaverse interview, but never mind. Then bits on crypto, then white papers, then just general links to research and stuff like that. So you can see there's quite a lot there, and worthy of bookmarking. It's github.com, and it's showing up in my sub thing here as m3-org/awesome-metaverse : awesome metaverse projects, but I'm not going to give you that because it doesn't feel like an old that would take you anywhere. Right, okay, so github.com, or follow the link from my Twitter feed to get to that one. So, okay, one thing I did learn last week is that I'm mastering the art of getting through these things quicker. I need to remember that because although not too bad. Okay, Metaverse Weekly. This is Kathy Hackle's Monday thing at Forbes. So all you want is Forbes.com, FORBES.com. Metaverse Weekly. She talks about Snap's new AR acquisition, Roblox launching podcast. You know who will be a you know what, and Fox announces Avatar 6 competition plus more. The stuff Kathy covers is pretty. Some of it overlaps with what I do, but she's quite a lot of entertainment focused, I suppose, in many ways. So she's just got a roundup there, complimentary to Robert Fisk's one at the end of the week. We don't seem to have an XR we can review video from them this week, but the Forbes column's there, and I will get to that later. So this is earlier in the week, and again, you want Forbes.com, FORBES.com, and you look under Monday and or Kathy Hackle, the author. But again, follow the link direct from my feed. Right. Okay, now this is interesting. We're back to where we started. This is not on the Metaworld news feed. This is actually on mine. This picture actually is an audience picture showing a considerable number of avatars in that audience for one of the performances. It's, as I think James would agree, it's not quite as packed as the view from the stage facing outwards that we had a copy of made it appear to be. But there's still a goodly number of avatars there. In fact, the last time I think I went to an event and saw that many avatars, fully formed avatars, probably even what you see there is when High Fidelities were still going, and they held a festival, and they held a weekly bingo session where they gave away ridiculous prizes like headsets, and it just got ridiculously crowded. You get sort of 400 or 500 avatars in the same space competing on bingo boards to get these lavish prizes. But it was costing High Fidelity a bit. It may have worked as PR, but I think they ended up getting the wrong kind of people. There were people who were getting an avatar and logging in simply because it's like a gambling thing of trying to get one of the prizes. It was worth the effort of getting in there to gamble on a prize kind of thing. But you only had to listen to the conversation. They were screaming over each other in third language too, and anarchy as it was. Okay, So this is an interesting article. It's at ABC Net All. ABC is a bit Australian Broadcasting Corporation, so it's like the BBC here in the UK. abc.net.au. And this is really their roundup of it. And they say it was ambitious, but as you see in the title, it says much needed lockdown event, but an uneven festival experience. And I think there's a couple of critical articles coming up today, and I sometimes think the critical articles are more. I get more out of them than the purely evangelical ones, where for whom nothing can go wrong. You can do say it was wonderful. They do make a few points about the flaws here, and they're not unexpected. They are flaws I've come across at other virtual events too. But generally, Splendor in the Grass, as the full title was well received, especially the lineup and the geography that's all creative for the organisers. It also had apparently 1.5 million US dollars. Oh, it might be Australian dollars, I think of it, in funding from the RISE government initiative, which probably, I didn't know that, but it probably helped get them going a bit. Fair amount of money for an event, but you did have to pay to get in, so maybe they recuperated quite a bit. But the reality felt more like a super compelling group experiment, complete with all-star lineup and teething issues. In some ways, it was a compelling new way to experience live music. In others, it frustratingly fell short of what had been promised. And much like struggling to set up your tent as a real-life Splendor, the problems began before the event kicked off. Like that comment, yeah. No, you don't have to worry about your virtual tent. You just have to worry about lagging glitches. Anyway, the first barrier was the immersion thing. To actually experience this, they say it required a super gaming PC or a VR headset, and that gear was out of reach for most of the average festival punters. So they didn't actually have the kit to really fully experience the full immersion for many of them who actually went regardless. And it was something a lot of tickets seemed to find out the hard way. In other words, they bought their tickets, they begged their monies, and they got there and, oh, didn't we tell you need to use it? So the result was a tale of two splendors. Those were the deluxe set up and house. In the second camp, you had to use the version via the web browser, and you missed out on quite a few of the hyped up selling points, personalized avatar, and the ability to explore stages, etc. They did say the web version was friendly enough, and allowing you to switch cameras and stuff like that, camera angles. But they're not knocking it. They're just they're just saying there were glitches and an enjoyable novelty for sure. Yes, but very hard to get a vibe going when half the chat is filled with people asking for support. How do I move? Chromecast isn't working. Or joking about who's selling Pingers and Charlie. A lot of folks said they ended up watching the performances in full screen, pretty much ignoring the novelty of the XR space entirely. So they'd be just watching the video transmission or maybe just staying put and not moving their camera. Anyway, an interesting roundup. Also, at least one thing it does show is that there was no shortage of publicity from very mainstream papers, basically, or websites in this case. The Australian Broadcasting, ABC, sort of interesting. So trying to imagine something like Glastonbury trying to be like this and then being covered by the BBC. BBC wouldn't give it very good coverage because they'd be missing out on the RL rise, wouldn't they? But you get it. Moving on, abcnet.org for that little review. This is vrscout.com, a familiar site for most of you. vrscout.com, and virtual reality technology could one day be powered by sweat. Now, this is a very interesting article, though I really don't know that I can get my finger to produce enough sweat to power a virtual environment. But it is actually interesting. I mean, the sensors you can put on your finger at the moment can draw electricity from small amounts of sweat, and they can actually already power a few things. It's a passive perspiration biofuel cell, and a high energy return on investment, according to the paper, basically. It's a thin, flexible device worn around the user's fingertip, and it collects small amounts of sweat via absorbent padding composed of carbon foam electrodes. It doesn't tell you a great deal about the friendliness of the. And I know they're not very big, but um, I don't. Just the manufacturer of these things, of course. Mental question. The electrodes have special enzymes activating a chemical reaction. Yeah. What if it's atomic? Between lactate and oxygen molecules, which in turn generates small amounts of explosions. No, sorry, electrical power. It's yeah. Can you imagine a day when you click two fingers together and set off an explosion? Nah, never happen. Could never happen. Anyway, as you,
right?
yeah, exactly. As you can see, there's a few embedded videos here. Give you an idea of the size of the hand. Most of us know anyway. Right. Interesting that it does point out the tips of your fingers are one of the sweatiest parts of your body, and I sometimes go, well, we wash our hands more frequently than we used to these days, be it with sanitizer or normal, gel. But I did notice he's holding a mouse and working on my desktop. It's sometimes within about 10 minutes, I'm very aware of the sweat on my hands. I think, I need to wash them again, Something to do with COVID and stuff like that. It is actually true that our sweat glands are working overtime on our hands, so to speak, even though you tend to think of things like your chest and stuff like that as the most sweatiest parts. But anyway, a very pleasant subject to be talking about. I better move on, really. This is the schematic for how the thing works. So serious work gone into it. And I don't know what these anodes and cathodes and stuff. I don't know enough about electronics to know what that's all about. But I do know what sweat is. Yeah, I'm quite familiar with that thing. And there you go. The inherent physicality of VR technology makes it the perfect candidate for this sort of device, because it runs on sweat. And if you imagine being paired with physically exhausted experiences like Beat Saber, Supernatural, and Gorn, they're referring to games there, of course. The more physically exhausting the enterprise is, the more sweat you're going to generate, and therefore the more power you're going to get. It's almost like a dynamo, isn't it? yeah. Once you get it going round, the power you're putting into it multiplies sort of as well. Never mind, I don't know the physics of all that. I shall refer to somebody else. But anyway, this could be a cute device, but I think it'd be many, many years before it's really functional. The only thing I could think of is that if it was somehow fitted within some kind of gloves or whatever, and so that it was attached to all fingers and maybe other bits, and inside the gloves, your hands might even sweat a little bit more. So if it was really clingy, like Velcro type gloves, you still have the agility, but you'd be generating even more sweat, and you'd have more electrodes. So, it could, they talk about, being able to top up the power on a smartphone and things like that. But that's not quite the same as the headline said about powering VR worlds. So, go figure. Now, I'm actually, let's put that one away. I'm actually going to go, I've got a segue here, but it wasn't planned. So I'm going to head down my feed a little bit more to the bad news department of, here we are. Oh, actually, it is very near the top here anyway. Okay. It has been noted that the Fastbook have shipped 4 million Quest 2, the latest facial interfaces. And there's a bit of a problem because they're all going to have to be recalled. Because there have been reports of skin irritation, nearly 6,000 of them from customers in the United States. And basically, the unit's sold separately and with the Oculus Quest 2 headset. And it noticed there's now $172,000 shipped to Canada. Basically, it seems that they've overstrapped themselves. Basically, they've actually released a piece of hardware that really is not safety cleared. I mean, it's not just a little itch or something. It's actually been very serious skin irritation, apparently. So, I mean, 6,000 out of a shipping of 4 million may seem like very little consequence, but when you actually consider those are individuals who were not warned by Facebook that they're going to have their face fucked, then that gets a bit serious, really. There's Facebook has refused to provide official sales statistics ever, so the information they're getting there is from what the public information is available. Now, this post was at uploadvr.com, uploadvr.com, but simultaneously, here we are, Ars Technica reported a lot more clearly here that Facebook were having to recall 1 million Quest 2 VR face lines over basically rashes and hives. I'm not quite sure what a hive is. There's strange things that I don't know. But I know what a rash is, and believe me, I did see photographs too, and they weren't very pleasant looking. I think hygiene on your face is probably not idyllic when you're wearing one of those helmets anyway, but it's serious that they've got these reports. So anyway, this is Ars Technica, ARSTCHNCA, basically just slightly same issues. Now, I do know that during the course of the week, I've seen posts advertising that you can send off to Facebook and get a free face mask or something, which I think is something they've rushed out as well. But the idea is the liner sits between your headset and your face itself. Presumably, this is a horrid idea of sort of all I can think of. I just hope that selfie safe, because if you get irritation from that as well, it defeats the object. But they are giving them away for free, so presumably they've got 4 million guinea pigs to play with. We will see. I'm sure God Emperor Suki is very keen to exploit his 4 million pigs to find out whether he's causing problems. Yes. No actual comment really on most of this from the almighty corporation itself. Plenty of comment, of course, from punters left, right, and centre around the world, and also, of course, in the wake of declaring that he's going to be here within 10 years, he's going to turn Facebook into the metaverse. Most people say he doesn't know what it is and doesn't understand it anyway. But they, what was it? They did something. We'll come to this later. The general feeling is that announcing this metaverse and this long plan, I get given a week's grace or 2 weeks really. People have actually been pointing out that there's a hell of a lot going wrong with Facebook at the moment, and the focus on this huge overhaul of themselves, the metaverse things, is cynically being described by many people as the ultimate cover-up for the other things that just aren't happening. There'd be the European Union Commission is on their back. British legislators here are on their back. I think Facebook actually is in trouble to accept them, and even in America, that is the new administration there, looking at the what's it called, monopolization type sort of status. So basically, there may not be no Facebook left to turn into a metaverse. If you look at it like that. Anyway, as I say, this post was at arstechnica.com. Right. Okay, going back up the page here. Oh, hang on. Yes, sorry, that's the same one that I did do that. Okay, back further up again. The Powerhouse will host Sydney Science Festival online next month. This comes from Time Out magazine. Of course, they have different. It started in London, but I think there's a version of Time Out in every city, and also presumably it still says Time Out.com. Unless you want TIMET. But the actual physical magazines, I think it's a different edition. World, but this clearly is Sydney Science Festival. And it's basically a regular sort of science thing, but held online, of course, because of COVID and everything else. What they link to here, quite an issue, is they actually start off with VR, commenting that virtuality. Many punters think it was created by Stephen King, Noah Mann, etc., etc. But it was actually the picture there who is one of the main instigators there. But virtuality is becoming a very sort of thing. I back on recently, and I realised that one of the original pioneer advocates, technologists, but advocates of virtuality was the other kind of virtuality. It was Timothy Leary, who originally, I think he gave up his quest for a perfect acid trip and decided virtuality was going to be about as good. And he was promoting it left, right, and centre for a while, long before many of us who heard him doing it knew what it was, because we didn't have computers at home or even in the workplace those days, at least nothing that could really generate the seeds of virtuality. I think the first thing I had was a tricky thing on a dial-up modem on a Philips CDI machine, and it was really like it's like a coloured in wireframe that you could run around in, but there are no objects to hit, or it's just walls, alleys, and no detail at all. It's probably that. I mean, that was about the early 90s. So I guess in terms of an item that took me into virtuality, so that's probably the thing I came across. Readily accessible, more people have CDI machines. Yes, I guess. Anyway, I'm doing the rabbit hole stuff again, aren't I? Getting shorter. Anyway, this sounds like an event. It's August the 15th. Our Deadly Science feature, 5 p.m. Again, probably local time, Sydney. They've got a southern skyline. Well, basically, there's a whole load of stuff I'm telling you about here. So, and the game you can play too. So, if you want to find out more about this, go to timeout.com, and I guess obviously you can get there about my Twitter feed. They've got quite enough links on this page to keep you happy, but otherwise, I guess Googling Powerhouse Music or Sydney Science Festival will get you a whole load of more information about that too. But obviously a heavy emphasis of not only being online, but also subject one to the conference itself, or festival, I should say. So moving on. Realities of digital reality. There's a bit of a twist on that, isn't it? Right, this is a UX design CC, so it's UXDESING.CC. And this chap, Avi Barsiv, I don't really know much about him, but I do notice he tweets quite Twitter links. Can't remember if I actually posted to anything he wrote before, but here we are. Much of what we think about X is wrong, he says. He also mentions during invented virtuality and term in 87. and you need resolution graphics, etc., etc. But he's basically written an essay to what debunk some of the mythology about it all. You're not going to learn anything here in terms of design the future or new things you can, but if you're interested in the history of all this, he's got there's a load of stuff here too. You know, so these things are great because they cover things. You know, Sensorama, for example. Does anybody remember that? I don't.
Sure, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
It was 1962.
I remember going to Sensorama movies. Yeah.
Okay, maybe it.
Like
Well, 62.
Earthquake was a Sensorama. Yeah.
Actually, it was from somebody called Henning. I mean, that's the word was used.
Okay.
It's often depicted as a large stationary VR device you sit near and lean into for a so-called 4D experience.
Oh, okay.
His wife has also revealed evidence of an actual head-mounted display he created too. But it goes back. But anyway, I mean, I asked the question really as James has heard of it, of course he has. But how many of you out there have heard it? That was the point I was trying to make. So you learn a bit. Like, I mean, how many of you, for example, are in Second Life? Well, maybe there's a lot of hands going up, but that's not the end of the question.
Right.
Do you know what it was called originally? Yes. Well, it's always been Second Life, hasn't it? It used to be called World. So a lot of Second Lifers don't know that, oddly enough. Anyway, bit of history here stuff, a few schematics and things like that. Nice big article read there. You can get to get there to uxdesing.cc. So it is a bit of a weird one, but again, there's a Twitter feed. So James, are you?
Yeah, I was. No, I think I have the word wrong. Oh, sense around is what I experienced with Earthquake. Yeah, so Sensorama is something different.
Right. A friend of mine, well, it was actually not long gone. It was they got him in the beginning of the coronavirus, but he had a up in Wiltshire, you know, one of these adventure parks. They had devices there. I often popped onto one. It just, you sat in this little cabin and you had a big video screen in front of you, and it was on a scaffold, so it shook and it wobbled, and it basically it's like the ghost train. It was made to frighten you with this CGI type video in front of you. But I think that was manufactured. You know, the companies that manufactured that kind of kit for outdoor entertainment, pretty expensive kit, but it wasn't a one-off, and the kind of companies that manufactured that had weird names. Like, I'm sure it's not me. Anyway, all history really. So this week in XR, this again is back at Forbes.com, FORBES.com. This, of course, would have been Friday, I guess. This is Charlie Fink's end of the week roundup, as opposed to Kathy Haggle's beginning of the week roundup. And Charlie is much more focused on the technology side of things like we are. First there was cyberspace, then there was the World Wide Web, now it's metaverse. But what is the metaverse? Well, it's a virtual environment where you can present with people in digital spaces plural. You can kind of think of this as an embodied internet inside of just look. And you say potato, I say metaverse. I don't know what that's about. Tony Vitillo there, is the Skull Ghost. Interesting. You'd have to figure out one of his blogs to work out what's been talked about there. All I could think was there's Ian Hughes from IBM. I don't know. Gone from IBM now, but he has everybody knows his avatar is E Predator, so the combination of the Predator thing and an avatar. But his full avatar name back in the day was E Predator Potato. And I think when he saw this, he chirped up. I'm potato.
Funny.
Weird stuff avatars get up to. Well, real persons behind them. Anyway, this stuff. Facebook's launched its new divisions. In trouble elsewhere. Microsoft is focused on enterprise metaverse. The typical expression there for Microsoft, really. A UK-based company, Elite Athletics, have raised money for VR. Roadkit's got a Kickstarter. Anyway, various stuff listed there. If you want to round up, it's all there, really. There'll be a few things in there that or the more the merrier. That's like a must read. Good round as is Kathy Aggle's early week as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm zooming down my list here. I'm actually skipping over the videos for the moment. We're figuring we'll get to those at the end. Right, XR Industry Insider Survey. This is from vrworldtech.com. VRWRLDTECH. And it's a quick read. It's all kind of research here. I'll just flip through to the actual website version. It's got a lot more here on the actual website than it's actually transposed into my reader view that you saw just now. It's a survey on immersive technology and increased bullish sentiment. That is the result of the survey. Perkins, Cowie, and XRA. 83% respondents expect immersive technology investment this year to be higher than last year. Healthcare, education, retail, and workforce development and training are seen as the principal areas of growth. And access to software was identified as the biggest barrier to adoption, which I thought was odd, but access to software as opposed to, presumably, access to hardware. I would have thought it was the other way around, but there you go. Virtual reality tech, VR, WORLDTECH. So the website is just VR World Tech. So that one. Right, moving on down. Reading mode. Okay, I love the sound of the rise of virtual avatars. The rise of the virtual avatars. That'd be a good movie title. Got me. Anyway, this again is a bit of history, really. 2 decades ago, music band Gorillaz was highly controversial for using cartoons in every stage appearances. So, of course, they're now deemed pioneers in the field of virtual avatars. And presumably some virtual avatars will be pioneers in the near future. It goes on. But this is basically a look back on stuff from social media to business and entertainment. And obviously avatar requirements for these things tend to be slightly different. In the workplace, for example, you probably even have to have a highly symbolic or very real-looking avatar for corporate requirements. IBM are the exception, the predecessor. And actually some of the other sexual role, gender role playing is there's some quite famous people in the tech world of very strange avatars. Anyway, looking at agencies, what avatars on stage that use business challenges, etc. Not a particularly long article, but you'll find this one at arpost.co. Sorry, I'm wrong. It's not co. Arpost.co. Right. So. Okay. I post at nature.com. scientific reports. They have a lot of scientific reports in Nature. Well, this is a handful, of course, but this actually is something that has been an interesting talking point since almost Second Life began, really, when you actually found found a lot of male persons with female avatars, and vice versa. I plenty of females with male avatars who, either for the novelty of it, but many were actually doing it to trying to experience what people's reaction to the opposite gender are. So if you're a man, people think you're going to experience the effect of men maybe harassing you or whatever because you're you sort of mean. And it's happened with race swap too. I mean, at the beginning of, say, Second Life, there were a lot of avatars who were obviously avatars, you could tell by voices they did, but who still went to lengths to really make themselves a best coffee coloured, if you like, rather than be outwardly black, for example. But that sort of changed, and after a period of time, actually began to find that white women, to use the expression, were actually adopting black female avatars. So they were staying with the right sex, the right gender, but they wanted to experience what their black colleagues were experiencing. And despite the fact they're avatars in the virtual world, the prejudices and reactions of people are those that are all too familiar, actually, in the real world. So anyway, this is a paper, effects of swapping genders in temporal decision making. So it all sort of ties in. And this is the abstract, and then you've got a lot of it here. It's not a synopsis of a paper. You've got to then go. It's the thing. So if this is your thing, as you can see, lots of scientific stuff floating around here. I don't really understand any of it. I suppose I'll down and come back to you in a year's time to tell you what this page is about in detail. But you get the idea, and I'm sure scientists will come along. So interesting resource there. nature.nat.com. Right. The word re-emerges. How can we get away from this, really? The age of the unspeakable is upon us. The hype train has arrived. Well, at least they've sort of got that bit right. If they're really serious about this, they wouldn't become hype and nonsense. The unmentionable has become the hottest buzzword in tech. Silicon Valley big brains are suddenly obsessing with virtual spaces spanning digital and physical domains. And God Emperor's in the act, and of course NVIDIA's founder Jason Huang has been gotten into it. Not to mention Epic Games, the other big one, Microsoft CEO. They're all getting in the act. They want to own their own private mentionable, yes, or they have definite feelings about mentionable, or maybe a plural unmentionables. Jeez. That going around too. Amazon, Bezos and Sergey Brin reportedly are revering the vision of Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash. It's a long while ago. 1992, the internet will be like Snow Crash. 2021, the Facebook will be like Snow Crash. Sorry, you can't see that. It's pasted in. It's anyway, looking at all there. In the short term, however, buzzwords rarely live up to the hype. Once the underlying tech matures, effective strategies develop, realistic objectives emerge. It has the potential to be truly transformational. Just don't expect it to happen overnight. And obviously we know what the it is they're talking about there. So this post is at thenextweb.com. Quite a big actually. So ThenextWeb.com. And away we go with that one. Right. Okay, this is a UK site called Metapunk, Metapunk Co UK, metapunk.co.k. And Theo Priestley, I don't know, very familiar with him writing, but it's very familiar on Twitter and on the network. Anyway, he's posted this at Metapunk, called Metapunk, that is, and about metaverse standards and interoperability. So everybody who's oddly enough, I haven't seen anything written by Will Burns the last couple of weeks, but it tends to be the one who is tweeting enough, mind you, gossiping with people. Now we've got over the big CEOs making announcements about their ideas of what this whole thing is. It is worth remembering that a lot of people have been there before in, well, virtual spaces, virtual worlds, Second Life and things for 2 decades. I posted a tweet. It didn't have a link on it, just saying as a digital native, I'm increasing this stumbling across signposts with the pointing the wrong way home. I got quite a few agrees on that. Anyway, so the Digital Living Network is looking back on the whole other thing, and what we have today is Epic, Unity, Nvidia, Facebook, and many of the other companies eventually acquire and swallow to create tool sets specifically for designing, building, and operating their version of the Mentionable. They'll all compete to create a set of seemingly open standards, but will not want to relinquish their sense of proprietary ownership. In other words, eat that word, will it? They do point that building the component of 3D components versus largely dependent on engines like Unity 3D engines. Although we may see others come up in the future, we've got to remember that these engines are also proprietary. So, what would it mean, for example, if the God Emperor Zuki managed to realize his vision, whatever his vision is, and suddenly turn around and realize that entirely using a tool like Unity 3D. The world may be his, he may be, administering the planet, but everything virtual, the virtual ground, as it were, is the Unreal Engine, which isn't his. Mind you, by then he'd probably have bought it. But anyway, endless strange philosophical questions there. Schematic of the open metaverse here too. It's all good stuff to read. I mean, I have to say that decentralized finance, blockchains, NFTs, and all this other stuff really seems to, like that whole column there is to do with that and tokenization and stuff. I don't necessarily know how the fashionable, trinket chain kind of stuff will end up being. Now, maybe, some people say it's inevitable theory, financial system of the world, but it's have a funny way of not to. Some people think they are. I would not want to bet on stuff like that, especially given the fragile nature of existing. Right, we're at the beginning of another iteration of the Unmentionable. We've seen the promise of Second Life and others that have come forward, which have allowed users to build lives, operate businesses, economies, sell and trade goods and services, both corporeal and digital. We're now at the cusp of another much bigger revolution that requires everyone to build an Unmentionable, not only for the users, but to exchange with others. This doesn't even go into the many smaller personal unmentionables that will exist for individuals as their own personal safe haven. How all this is managed is going to be a painful ahead. Yeah, well, My message to God Emperor Zuki is beware the pain. It's coming.
Oh, all right.
Well, we've experienced it already, so we're holding to it. Yeah.
Okay.
You may. Okay, Metapunk Co. UK, that was metapunk.co.uk. I think that okay thing is James hinting move on.
No, I'm just acknowledging
Yeah, like his story.
the blind foraging into the unknown territories.
Yeah. And the blind leading the blind too.
Well,
Now you mention it. Whoever's advising the God Emperor probably got they probably have got a secret, you know.
oh yeah.
Okay, on to the next one. This is roadtovr.com, roadtovr.com. And they've got a report that Engage, which again has been going for quite a while and is quite a major social VR platform. You know, it's not, it's one of the biggies of the new wave rather than the old wave, might say, like for OpenSim and Science Base. They've generated 1.4 million US dollars revenue just in the first half of this year, 2021. So for a relatively new company, that's pretty good. And in a sense, I mean, their specialty is education. In fact, the company behind Engage is VR Education, if I'm not right. And they're based in Ireland here. Well, there, but closer in the States, if you see what I mean. Over the baby water as opposed to the big water. And yeah, they've created a number of bespoke educational experiences alongside its most successful product, Engage. And yeah, they're making money. Well, good. It's good news that they are successful, but it's especially good news, I suppose, because this isn't music or entertainment venture. It's you know, their baseline is education. You know, so to be doing that well with something that isn't exactly sort of the biggest profit making sector, should we say, is good news indeed. And yeah, I think Engage and Vibella are the real competition to Engage. They're very different sort of platforms, but again, they're focused. Right, so you find that post at roadtovr.com. And well, we'll have a quick peek. The embedded video.
In our short history, trusted partner to some of the biggest brand organizations.
Charlie!
Having one commercial partner engage is our events. We got one where businesses direct customers journey for the impossible. Metaverse where pleasure and by the professionals who utilize the platform. Welcome to the evolution of Engage. Welcome to Engage Oasis.
Interesting that actually. Now I've watched that, I realise I've actually been in there quite a few times, really during the course of about 6 weeks ago, to a couple of months maybe, there was a education conference. A lot of their events were being held in there, and I did go into quite a few of those. There was another conference where they were using what's the Microsoft owned one?
Altspace?
Altspace VR, yeah. And for some reason, I keep seeing events and think, oh, I'll check that out, and I never get there. Don't ask me why. You know, Altspace VR, I never seem to get there. I don't know why. But yeah, anyway, so that's good news for Engage. So roadtovr.com is where you find that post, and I will move rapidly on.
Yeah, and Mel, we're starting to get more and more lag in the audio. I'm understanding most of what you say, but the videos are not playing well. And so it may be related to our earlier internet problems.
I'm also noticing there's a slight lag in the projection in World of
Okay.
my desktop. It's not bad, not as bad as we had one week, but
Right.
yeah, can't can't say really.
Yep.
Should have rebooted all the hardware, which would mean going off air.
Right. But I don't think the videos are working well today.
Yeah, I
If that
still have
helps.
no Wi-Fi here, but again, that shouldn't be a connection. A web connection shouldn't affect that.
Right.
But we'll find out after the show. I'll reboot everything and hope I get Wi-Fi back.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'll endeavour to. Oh, how's the sound, James, on the videos as we play them?
It's very loud. I can hear it really well. So it's.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
I was wondering because I know what it's like on the normal mic, but I wasn't sure how it works with.
But the lag, so it's very loud, but the lag is, I'll get sound on count of 1, and then no sound for a count of 3, and then sound on a count of 1. So it's pretty noticeable.
Okay.
Yep.
And of course, I've got a bigger screen transmission now, but anyway, that's something we will sort out ourselves. Thanks for mentioning it now. Anyway, okay. So Aaron Frank is writing here at singularityhub.com, SINGULARITYHUB.com, and talking about why interest in virtual worlds for online collaboration is spiking. Spiking, not meaning infected, but boosting, sort of thing. Spiking, I think. Not spiking in the charts as opposed to spiking a drink. It's an old word. It's an old word. It's opposite meanings, doesn't it? Okay. Yes. It's well-known usage of video conferencing like Zoom has exploded as a result of COVID. What is less known is interest in avatar-based virtual worlds and business-specific adaptations to concepts like Second Life, a well-known virtual world which peaked in mainstream popularity 15 years ago, is spiking. It's spiking as well. Yes, we've had a ton of inquiries, said Philip Rosedale in an email, which is rather, he's talking about high fidelity, of course, because he's not with Second Life anymore. That's a bit misleading. But he's had a lot of inquiries. They're building a new kind of virtual world that's not yet been released. I think whoever wrote this has got their knickers in a twist, to be honest. That high fidelity does still exist, but it's an audio, 3D audio. And maybe they've just got some old quotes from Philip when high fidelity was actually a 3D world, but it's funny. It's an article that is spot on in terms of what's going on and stuff, but I'm not sure. It's facts. I'm not sure how well researched Aaron Frank's thing was, but Singularity Hub, fairly respectable site. So there you go. SINGULARITYHUB.com. And onwards and upwards. Moving here. Right, we're back to forums. Okay, this is another. It's not a regular column. This is somebody called Frederick Nasso has a piece from a couple of days ago. It's about something called Scout. I guess it's a new platform. Fresh off raising $1.2 million US, it's got a growing wait list. Of over 150,000 people who are hyped about the unmentionable. Yeah, well, it's easy to get hyped about the unmentionable. If we get it hyped enough, we might start mentioning it, and that'd be even worse. Anyway, social media is an integral part of our lives, fundamentally shape the way we communicate, etc. Millennials and Gen Zs feel more disconnected than ever, despite the content we create and share. Zach Haggart noticed the proliferation of content in digital world, lack of connection may feel in the physical world. So he started something called Scout, which is a startup focused on connecting people through content. This platform. It's recently raised its money. Also, the pre-seed round was led by somebody called Sarah Leary, who was the co-founder of Nextdoor. They're a big, with more participation, etc. The startup has over 150,000 users still on its wait list to try out Scout. There then follows an interview, basically. I found this interesting. Actually, I'm very hard to read this live while I'm going to, because it goes all over the place. Okay, yeah. This the general theme here. There's a bit that comes out in this quote here. He's saying that today's social media has become more media than social, and his view on why this has happened is largely due to incentives. And he says much of today's content is driven by advertising revenue, which incentivizes attention in a way we now know is very unhealthy. This has led to shock and awe content like life and body comparisons, stunts in public, and content like this drives a wedge between people instead of bringing them closer together. So Scout and the range of products that go with it this is why none of Scout's products will be driven by advertising revenue. In other words, you've got to imagine something to all intents and purposes is the exact opposite of Facebook in terms of its revenue methods. So I was quite interested. I mean, who knows how this will go? But interesting how incentives shape and affect social media as upon as the same incentives at play have also shaped how they're approaching product development, etc., etc. So interesting sort of interview there. But a startup and very fairly. They couldn't resist using the unmentionable word. Our part in the unmentionable is small, but equally as exciting to us. And the experience on Scout.com lets you vibe with other people watching a screen. So that's their traditional thing. But it seems like they've got a Scout itself is an experience, but also a group of experience that makes the whole kind of, presumably being, you could, for example, go in a 3D room to watch a video with somebody via a portal that is relatively simple, whereas something you use a different portal for something more complicated, even though the basic technology would all be the same. So be interoperable. Anyway, you're gonna have to read this. You want to know more, but you can find it at Forbes.com, Forbes.com. Of course, you get a Frederick Deso is the name of the author. Get a link. It's midweek. It came out, and click through to the link on my Twitter feed to get to the right page directly. Okay, back to VRScout.com, VRSCG.com. And an editorial here basically for trans companies to attract women. And here's how they can. Yes. Seem to be falling into discussions about equality in the workplace and things quite a lot recently. Yeah, this is a look back, and there's no order credited. I don't know how should it's hard to know when you don't know who the author is, and you know how much authority the author has to actually make suggestions to you. But I didn't know this. The intro here actually was in the early 90s. The TV studio took a risk. Executives were casting for a character named Donna Scully, a supporting role, played by the same physical attributes as Pamela Anderson. That was the Anderson with a large top. Despite that brief, however, the X-Files producers ultimately chose actor Gillian Anderson. A less large top, I guess. But maybe it was a mistake. I don't know. They got the wrong Anderson. But they turned Scully into a fierce, whip-smart medical doctor, and you come off a trail of a female lead STEM that was missing to mainstream pop culture. And her high profile allowed you to imagine them in her position for the first time. So they're really crediting her on this, actually. Soon after, something unexpected happened. A few seasons into the show's institution, uptick in University of Technology and Science School. And they dubbed this the Scully effect. I didn't know that. So, sometimes it's... I like Gillian Anderson. She's still busy. They realised she was responsible per se for that sort of. I suppose. Anyway, let's go to John the Pamphlet there. She's head VR at HP. She's all over the place. She's wonderful. Got somebody else down here. Oh, Amy Peck. Yeah. And okay. No, anyway, it's a long article, and yeah, it's looking at well, basically, it's looking at VR companies and saying there needs to be more, and doing their best to suggest how and why. Right, moving on. Right, this is okay. This is my last, and it's hardly anything to it actually in terms of tech things. This is announcing the Augmented and Virtual Reality Policy Conference, which is a half-day conference Information Technology Foundation and the Association, which will explore the role of policy in AR VR innovation. You'll be able to watch it, attend in person or watch on. Let me switch to the appropriate one. Here we are. It's in Washington, D.C., Thursday, October 1st, from 12 midday to 5 p.m. Pretty short, really. And you can click through to register. No indication of whether you have to pay at all. There's nothing really here that's tell you. I suppose if well, I'm not going to go through it all here. I'm going to cut topic. I'll see what happens when I click register. Far enough away anyway. It's a bit of a warning. Okay, there you are. Patients mix. Yeah, it looks like you can register. I'm not going to do it now, but it looks like registering for that is free. So, not going to cost you anything. So, if you're interested in policy affairs, you know where they are. Check it out. Right, okay. Well, I'm not quite finished because I know I'll do 6, 7, 8, 9 videos to end with, so to speak. We're not going to play them all, don't worry. Right. These are all via my Twitter feed, though you can actually get them at mastodon.social/Metaworld, I think it is, but they cross-post to Twitter, so you can get them anywhere, really. And mostly, not all of them, are actually linked to YouTube, which is the most popular site there. Right, this one, okay, I think we better get through to it. This is published by CNN on YouTube, if I recall. Got this right.
If you've been playing your
Oh, the bloody advert. Sorry.
You're not alone. I see so many people just.
Sorry, I'm in a browser. It doesn't kill
the pandemic has thrown a sharp focus the struggle our elderly population faces on a daily basis. A company in California is trying to help understand those challenges by using virtual. We've been feeling less like ourselves. I am embodying Roger, a woman in her mid-60s living with Alzheimer's disease. Hi, bitches. There's Gabby. She is a.
Okay, well, bearing in mind what James said about lag and stuff, I won't.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Pretty bad. Basically, if you get to YouTube, you can obviously get to it through my feed, which takes you to Mastodon, and then we'll take you to this. But if you want to find out straight, Christy Lou Stout is the person who posted that video. I think she is the person talking on that stage, wherever that is. Yeah, I keep forgetting my YouTube, the behavior of YouTube and browser is not the same as the one I normally use, and I don't normally get played by ads. So I have software that kills everything in this browser, unfortunately. So I'll I'll remove that item and move to the next one here. Okay, this is the regular. I didn't watch much of this week. Did you find a chance, James? I know it's
Yeah, I did. Yep.
It's the regular early week edition of VR Download, and you'll find it on the YouTube account you want is Upload VR, conversely, for download. Yeah, generally they have a good, intelligent chat about stuff of the week, really.
Yep.
It's early. I call it the early edition. In fact, the Thursday edition is now being renamed as Gamescom, so they didn't get confused anymore. You was about to say, James?
No, nothing. I did watch it. I'm not recalling the episode presently, but
yeah. I think we announced this last week anyway, because this was early in the week. But the Fastball cancelled its mind reading aspirations. I think we'd be grateful for small mercies. For once, the God Emperor has decided something's going to be too hard to tackle. I know it's strange though. I mean, mind reading is a very specific thing, which I imagine conquering it would cost considerably less than building a whole metaverse. But then again, who knows what dwells within the mind of God Emperors? To paraphrase the Shadow there. Did you guess? Yes, I was paraphrasing the Shadow. I was. Yeah. Enough of that. Right. Here we are. Right. This is Metaverse, what it is, and are we in the metaverse yet with Kathy Yaki? Sorry. Hackle. I'm gonna go through to this just so you can get the account if you want to. You can watch it. You might Twitter feed, of course.
Introducing speech alarm.
Go away.
Hey, I'm Joey, and I'm one.
No,
metaverse. Crypto people say they're building it. Gamers say they might already be living it, and the art world is cashing in on it. Web veterans are trying to save it. What exactly is the metaverse?
So the metaverse has several meanings, but it is broadly defined in some ways as the successor to the mobile internet that we have today. So it's about
okay, this is Cassie's opinion. I listened to that. I've heard this mentioned a few times recently, but I mean, you guys don't really see how it's successful to a mobile internet. Mobile internet might ultimately be past first, but anyway. This again, you'd have to go via my link, but the account that published this interview is the Arica News Center. I don't know what. I don't know what country this is in anyway. So ARIRANQ based news center. That's the subscriber name you want on YouTube. But of course, Kathy Hackle's got a lot to say there. It lasts for about 10 minutes, so she covers quite a bit there. Right. Let's remove that one. And okay, this one, how tech companies like Facebook plan to leverage the unspeakable. Yes. Right. I'm gonna go through to these because it's easier.
Introducing speech alarm. The most natural to speech software on the market.
At least they're not 10 minutes long.
Leaderboards and scoreboards. So you sort of immerse yourself in the spin experience. The metaverse would take that one step further.
Okay, hang on.
That convergence of physical, augmented, and virtual realities online. So think about Peloton right now. One of the reasons why Peloton is so popular is because they've created this community of people. You got the big screen in front of your bike. You feel like you're riding with other people. There's leaderboards and scoreboards. So
okay, that's over 6 minutes too. So you're getting an audio cue there. Basically, I don't think the too much. The accounts for that one is Cheddar Now. CHEDDAR space now. That's the account of YouTube you want for that. Correct. Posting. A lot of these posts are ones I just sort of grabbed through links throughout the week, where they're interesting because they mention things we're interested in, anecdotally as it were. always good to have that extra back information, but I'm going to through them a bit. Moving on. Right, this is Metafash, FASH. Arts XR at Brazil and Latin America's Fashion Week. Says it all, really. The Brazil and Latin America had a digital fashion week, and discussing, I guess, all things arts and fashion. And oh, hang on.
Hi everyone. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for your.
Right, it's a proceedings thing, edited experience from Metafash, with the advertisements. I'm not quite sure which world that was in, and I just clicked on the wrong thing to actually that played it, but didn't tell me who posted it.
Hi everyone.
Here we are.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for your.
Here we are. It's posted by Arts XR. All the 7 subscribers. Maybe they're quite new. I don't know. But ARTS space XR is the name of the YouTube account. And basically they're looking at fashion and arts and stuff. It lasts for about 20 minutes. I think they just pulled highlights out of the in-world experience there. As I say, I didn't watch enough. At least I can't remember it was mentioned where they're actually filming that. It looks like could be a VR chat. So interestingly, they do actually have legs. Although most VR chat has legs now. So who knows? Who knows? It's not legless. That's all I know. But interesting enough, although obviously of local interest, really. Latin America. All right. Back to the dreaded fast book. Okay. Facebook leading the metaverse charge. Oh, the unmentionable, the charge of the unmentionable. As in brigade. No, never mind. We're late in the show, and I'm getting silly. Thank you. This is permitted. We're only
introducing speech text-to-speech software on the market. Hey, I'm
those motherfuckers. They need to pay me. Right.
So there's
that bloody advert. That's the same advert too.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the Twit Tech Podcast Network at YouTube. TWIT Tech Podcast Network, if you want to get this. And it's talking about Facebook leading the metaverse charge. Yeah, the metaverse charge, eh? With that, I'm going to go back. Because I don't get the adverts here, I don't think. Yeah, you see, I can play
things.
If you play it on my Mastodon, you won't get the ad. Well, you get more videos, but not the actual interfering ads. Okay, this chap Kevin Marks. I forget where I really know him from. He gets around. He's on this program anyway.
That one they bought, which is going to be.
Oh, I know it. He's kind of a key person in the UK government here in terms of their. Immersive Technologies work groups and things like that. Believe it or not, governments have these things. They're not highly prominent, but I know Kevin there because there were a few public ones a few years ago, and he was there. I remember. So this program is actually called This in Google, or the sub program anyway. Given the link I gave you, and just.
So there's ways to try and do it. The challenge is, but you've also got to either replace your entire visual field with something compelling, which is very hard to do for more at the time. If you spend more than half an hour in one of those things, you do end up feeling a bit.
You want to throw up, yeah.
Yeah, he does not hesitate any more than I do.
We can imagine this, and it's appealing. This notion of a world that's not of the world.
True
that you can go and it's really escape, and you can fly, you can do anything you want, and it's so real that you can't. It's almost impossible to distinguish it from the real world.
Right, I think you get the idea there. The beginning. This is actually just over 20 minutes long, and from what I recall, the first 5, maybe even 10 minutes, it doesn't directly concern virtual worlds or the unspeakable. But it then does lead into all that, and it's actually quite interesting talk. And as you can tell, it's very professionally produced. I don't know what Laporte's well, I think it's just called This Week in Google. So presumably that you can find that show itself somewhere rather than just this extract. So anyway, yeah, follow my Twitter feed for that, or check out YouTube. Okay, next one is this is very you can come via me, or I think it's Somnium Times. I think is the YouTube account, but I can't even be able to go in and check, to be honest. This is a kind of avatar.
So I mean,
show.
The producers aren't really happy. That's what I'm saying. Like, you need to revamp your jokes so people actually laugh. You know, like, because I don't think I've laughed one time at any of your jokes, and I just can't pretend to think you're funny because you're just.
Just thought it was fucking funny. Yes. Basically, you get the idea. It's a very lightweight chatting show there. Very interesting introduction there, where she's moaning at the guy talking to her. But anyway, it's a second edition. It's show number 2 of a show called Pax and Friends, and it's filmed in Somnium Space as a virtual world kind of show. So I doubt if I'll be posting too many editions of that, but I'm principally posting it to let you know it's there. Is one there. I might put the links into the Metaworld News Twitter or something in future, but we'll see. So curious one now. But then again, that's how we all started doing Guild Avatar chat shows, to be honest. Or webcam chat shows too. Right, now we have another one. They can't stop, can they? The metaverse is a great idea, but that's it so far, says Swisher. Swisher? Let's right, I'll firstly I'll give you the link to this.
What's the truth about the Great Reset? You may have heard murmuring. Last made by a video. Prince Charles.
Alexa's telling me because she can't get to the internet. I could have told you that 2 hours ago. Nuisance. But of course Google's off too, which isn't helping. Right, CNBC Television. CNBC Television. It's their Google account where they posted. This is obviously an extract from one of their shows, and so this is where you want to go to get it. I'm actually now going to go back to my page where I can play it for you unmolested, as I would say.
And they're trying to do so through Oculus or some of their other things that they own, but it's in its very early stage.
Okay, that's
Pat, could a behemoth like Facebook make with their own metaverse?
Well, if it existed, they could, but it doesn't. Obviously, I don't know. Buzzword is an excellent word to use if you want to talk about this. I think one of the issues is that they can just say things, and there's Mark's trying to get focus off of other things, including regulatory issues. And so I think one of the issues is that it has to exist, and they're trying to do so through Oculus or some of their other things that they own, but it's in its very early stages. Just a buzzword at this moment.
And a distraction from, well, everybody knows. So do companies like Facebook plan to actually make money from?
Well, you could presumably. It already happens when you're on, as you mentioned, all games. The issue is that you take, you know, the Internet of Things, how people talked about that. You kind of have that now. You have Nests or you have refrigerators that talk to you. So it's sort of bringing you bring the physical and the digital together, which has been happening for a long time. And this is that it plunges you into it, that you have a digital persona. You know, eventually, sure, you're going to have Oculus, whatever the different headsets are. Apple's working on one. But in general, you know, they're sort of staking their claim to it because they don't have a phone and they failed in the phone business. And so why don't they just say that? And it's an interesting concept, no question. It just doesn't exist in a way.
And you wonder if it might backfire on Zuck, too.
You know, he could build it maybe. I'd see someone more like Apple or Amazon would have the idea of commerce or things like that. They have better skills and better devices to do this. Facebook has been pretty bad on devices. I think Amazon has come from behind. They've had some bad devices. But you see someone more like Microsoft or Apple being a big player in this area where they can offer all kinds of things, or anyone in the gaming business, because that's where it starts. But then it can be tourism. You could, a lot of this stuff. Remember when they had 3D televisions? That didn't quite work out.
No.
That didn't work out at all. So it's a great idea. It's a great concept. It's and it will someday you will be putting on some sort of helmet. The stuff now is not good enough. Not today. No. Not
Tara, great to see you.
Okay, well, I played the whole of that because it was quite short, just over 2 minutes, and I think she was good. She's got a grip on things there, and she cautioning that Lord Zook may be overstretching himself. I suppose, like it is a common theme at the moment. So let me put that one away, and we come to the very final one. This is actually a very short clip from earlier today, announcing the Open 3D engine. And which, of course, oh God, now what? Oh, okay.
Say hello to Webflow, the world's most powerful all-in-one design platform.
Oh, cool, that's an ad. I don't know for the ad from the what's it? Right. This is announcing the Open 3D engine, O3DE, and this is AWS.GameTech. AWS is Amazon Web Services, and they're basically promoting their the engine, which is now completely open sourced. So an idea here.
Game are using magical, and they pack in a rich array of capabilities. Even that, game and simulation developers often they want choice. It allows
A updated version of the Lumberyard, the original community of people that this brings together. At the end of the
okay, the engine
and for Taffy is the
bit like working with inside Unity or something. Obviously, our videos don't come across too well, and this is too specialized to really just extract on the basis of audio. But basically, they're talking about Angus and Lumberyard, which is an authoring engine a bit like Unity or Unreal, which Amazon bought a long while ago and developed, but they've now open sourced it, so it's free to use for anybody really. And it goes into some of the other technology that Amazon have. But the important thing is the 3D engine there is with Lumberyard and the underlying engine, of course, is all now open source. So although the Unreal Engine and Unity 3D, things like that are free to use, for any major thing, there are licensing costs and things like that. And if it can be done with this engine, it will be as easy to deploy, as an executable world or whatever interface, but without the underlying costs and stuff like that. Obviously, being open source, it doesn't mean it can be totally always non-commercial. You've only got to look at something like OpenSim, which is a variation of Linden Labs engine. It's pretty different now, but it kind of looks visually the same. And, it's celebrated as being open source, but in fact, there are many commercial grids within the hypergrid, who use that same engine. So they can build and make it with open source stuff, but that doesn't preclude their running a commercial operation. I often wonder if Tim Berners-Lee, when he invented the protocols for the web, instead of open sourcing it, you should just have had a little rider and say no commerce allowed. Can you imagine how wonderfully different things would be if that had been done? But he was too keen to give it away to everybody. Live with the consequences. Right. Well, that's my last. That's my last thingy. What's it? Thingy. Yeah. Any thoughts on all that lot? James?
No, nothing in particular. It was. No, I don't have anything additional to say.
It's like me. I've just added on my mind has gone blank. I don't know.
Right. Just watch me censor myself as in real time. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I don't know. I sort of I'm train. I always do after the show, actually. Well, I have something hidden underneath here that I want to play. So I don't know how long we've been on. Oh, God, I've all gone black now. Right.
Hour and 45.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, this is going to take it up to an hour 50 at least. But it's hidden under here. It's already open, waiting to be done. It's actually a video, and I downloaded this from somewhere because I can't remember where, because there's no way I can actually link to it as a tweet to play it. So I've got a copy here. Now, I can't resist this. Anybody who actually knows me knows that in Second Life, all my original avatars are packed away in a suitcase now, and I have a wonderful little feline, a little red putty cat. That's who I am in Second Life. Very agile, can move all over the place, move very fast, made of mesh, no lag, no avatar trim weight or anything like that. The ideal kind of avatar. And that is why, although I'm not a gamer, I rather want to play this game. So I'm going to leave you with a little look at this for about 3 or 4 minutes. And I hope the video stands up either.
It's not, but that's okay.
In Stray, you play as a cat who has fallen inside the mysterious and forgotten city. Separated from his family and injured, he will have to explore and survive in this unwelcoming environment. From the cat's unique point of view, players must navigate their way through dangers in a friendly place, and use the cat's skills to solve puzzles. Along his journey, the cat will meet a small drone named B12. Using the drone's ability to interact with objects in the world and communicate with the strange inhabitants of this secluded place, together they will learn about the secrets of this forgotten community of human-like machines. Of course, a cat will always be a cat, and his adventures will be filled with friendly and playful interactions with his new world. But these machines are not the only inhabitants of the city. Some encounters will not be as friendly as safe. Fast, jumping, and using stealth will all be vital to escape the city. Unless you find a way to do, and the prey might become the hunter.
Well, it gets really gamey near the end there, of course. I never was very good. I used to get dead in the first frame of anything required shooting. But I adore that cast. And sadly, I don't have a PlayStation, which is the only thing you can play it on at the moment. So I hope there's a PC version at some point. I'm not a gamer, actually. I do occasionally get things like The Mist and Abductions and things, but most of the more recent ones are those I still haven't got to. You know, I get halfway through and then find something else to do. Find the time to do it is, you know, it's quite exhausting playing sort of games and things. But I just, you know, one of the things I adore about my Avatar Second Life is I actually feel like I'm channeling myself through a pussycat. You know, the way it moves and everything else. And the first person view of the cat there is so like it, you know, the movements are definitely the feline movements and stuff like that. So a little special hidden away on my screen there in the background for your delectation. And yeah, that is that, so to speak. And yeah, there we go. I think most of you recognise that that is part of a Macintosh desktop there. So, if you remembered any of those thoughts, James, or should we just say goodbye?
I think we can just say goodbye. That was
just say goodbye.
Pretty difficult video.
Yeah, it was nice though, wasn't it? It was cute.
What anybody could see and hear of it, sure.
Oh, I was watching it on the screen in World, and it seemed to be playing okay there. But you know, stuttered. But you know,
yeah. And maybe a fifth of the audio came through.
Oh right, so it was the whole thing. Yeah, maybe I'm trying to.
Well, the internet today was problematic before we started.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reboot all the kit here, I think. Anyway, okay. Well, we'll call it a day. All that stuff. So we shall say goodbye. I shall announce, as I always do, that it's goodbye from you.
I shall announce in turn that it's goodbye from you.
Yes. Oh, see, easy peasy when you know how. Yes, indeed. Goodbye from both of us. Farewell and smooth sailing, or whatever the expression is. Right, we will return same time, same place next week with all the latest news then. In the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this week's roundup, whether you've been watching us live, which I don't think that many of you do. Oh, chat disconnected. Never mind. That may... Oh, I didn't see that. Right. Yeah, we'll figure out anyway. Or, of course, you can watch it at YouTube throughout the week, or it's embedded on our weekly blog or our Blogspot blog, or on MeWe, you can find it, and on Discord's Hypergrid thing and Metaworld servers, you can find it. You can find it all over the place, and even in Slack, although you have to get hold of me to get access to that. So, yeah, we're everywhere. Is it worth it? I don't know. It makes it very difficult. If you're everywhere, it makes it very difficult to keep track of things. It's like the comments that are made recently about you know, the web was started as information and then became people, and you know, we always thought the idea of all this information was wonderful, but now there is just so much information, you regret it's just too much there. It's overload for everybody, really. So all the opportunities jump in. Anyway, I'm Rabbit Holding, and this is meant to be the end of the show. So we will both wish you a very good week. Do stay safe. Stay indoors where you can. Avoid areas where you might get infected, and all the stuff of it. Try not to roast if you're where there's lots of fires burning, and try not to drown if you're in the other half of the world where there's lots of floods. And if by some miracle you're in part of the world that hasn't got any of those three dangers, you're damn lucky. I don't know where such a place might be. Some forgotten island in the middle of somewhere. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, as I say, we'll see you next week. Stay safe, and yeah, that's it. Bye for now. Bye. See ya.